Hi and welcome to The Winning Factor. I'm Alan Aitken, and on this show each week I take a look at a couple of upcoming races in Hong Kong and try to isolate an angle that we might see as the path to finding the winner. Well, a mixed meeting at Sha Tin on Sunday, keeping the track for the following week, the big Champions Day meeting, but we still have winners to find, and the first race I'm going to take a look at is race 6, where our winning factor is the map. So this is a Class 2, 1800 metres, and we see a few of the beaten Derby runners returning to the handicap classes here. Bundle Award, Steps Ahead and California Totality. Voyage Samurai, he's a last start Class 2 winner, and I'm sure there'll be fans too for Bravehearts, Helene Feeling and Winning Dragon. So a reasonably competitive field this, but I'm leaning to the main chances being 2 out of the Derby, Bundle Award and Steps Ahead, as well as Voyage Samurai. Now, firstly, let's talk about the Derby horses, and we've already seen one horse out of the Derby run again. That was Ruby Lot, but he dropped back very sharply in distance, so may not have been that suitable. However, over the years, it's been quite a mixed bag from the Derby horses when they have run again. Over the last 3 years, for example, only 6 horses won out of the Derby at their next start. Another 12 were placed, but the jury's kind of out on whether going through the Derby and coming out the other side makes you a winner next time. We'll find out more in this race on Sunday. But first, let's have a look at the Derby itself and the runs of Bundle Award and Steps Ahead. This is race 530, gate 9 green and pink for Bundle Award, gate 13 red and yellow for Steps Ahead, and they're both taken back at the start as a result of those wide gates, and they race close to each other most of the way. Now, the standout aspect of this year's Derby was the very slow sections mid-race between the 1600 metres and 800 metres, before the leaders quickened up on the circle, then sprinted strongly down the lane, making it difficult to make up ground. Now, our 2 runners had a problem as a result of that, and Bundle Award, he gets out into clear room on the outside, while Steps Ahead, his pace disadvantage is accentuated further by being held up in traffic as well. They both finished together, both taking a little ground off the front runners. Both very decent efforts too, in circumstances that didn't really help either of them. But a slow pace certainly was in favour of Voyage Samurai at his latest run, and he was sent out odds on with the race map to suit and took full advantage. This is race 568. He's in gate 6 in those white and green colours. Voyage Samurai is a regular front runner and had everything made to order here, easily finding an uncontested lead in a very slow first half of the race. Derek Leung was able to dictate the tempo, quicken up at a time of his own choosing, and he was never going to be beaten in a sprint down the home straight here at odds on. Now, that win took his record to 5 wins and 5 seconds from his 13 starts. Pretty good record, so he's not to be underestimated. But when we take a look at the map for Sunday's race, I don't think he's going to get the same kind of cakewalk. This time he goes an extra 200 metres, but even more importantly, there are other regular leaders here, California Totality and Pray For Me, who have matched motors up front a couple of times already this season, and I think the pace will be more genuine this time. So that's not going to help Voyage Samurai. Now, we saw Steps Ahead and Bundle Award both taken back from wide gates in the Derby, but this time Bundle Award draws low, so that won't be necessary. But Steps Ahead, well, he still has a problem from barrier 10 and risks a wide run or having to concede a start. So the tip in race 6, Bundle Award, his winning factor, the map. I'm leaning to the Derby horses as the ones to beat here, even though, as I mentioned, the jury is out a little bit on how strong Derby form is when they go back to the general population races. And there's even a little weight swing here towards Steps Ahead versus Bundle Award, but I think the key is going to be the map, and from an inside draw, he might be in front of Steps Ahead this time. The other race I want to take a look at is the final race, race 10, where our winning factor is the winner up in class. An interesting Class 3 here of 1400 metres featuring 4 last start winners. Juno Pride and Another World, both in great form lately in Class 3. Stella Swift and South Star rising in grade from Class 4 wins, and Call Me Gorgeous will probably have a few fans despite an awkward draw. But I want to focus mainly on two horses that won their last start and on the same day within an hour. They are the Benno Jung trained Another World and Frankie Law trained South Star. First of all, let's look at South Star. This is race 550 and gate 10, blue and red colours. South Star, one of the first to begin. He's quickly into the first three, but the key aspect of this race was the tactics on the leader. He was you. He gets to the front after 300 metres and then sets a scorching pace through the middle stages. And South Star, well, he was the nearest to him. Not exactly close to him, but the nearest. And he was able to pounce when they straightened up and run clear. As a result of that strong pace, though, he had every reason to be tiring in the final stages, and he certainly looked to be doing that. Now, as a result of the way that race was run, his final 400 metre section was quite slow. In fact, a lot slower than Another World, who won over the same course and distance 2 races later. This is race 552, gate 6, Another World with Zac Purton in those blue and aqua colours. And he also begins well, but the pace is a lot calmer here. He briefly leads before letting a couple of others go ahead, and Purton is content to relax the horse about as far off the lead, I think, as South Star was in his race, but they're going a lot slower. As a result, he's got more energy in the straight, he sprints strongly in the stretch under riding, but Purton is still able to sit up on him in the final strides when the job is done. Now, the overall time for those 2 races was only 0.05 of a second difference, but Another World's final 400 metres was 6 lengths faster. But context does count, and as we saw, totally different styles of race, and no surprise that we didn't get a fast final section from South Star. And that fast final section, of course, normally something we are looking for with these horses. But this weekend's race sets up more like Another World's race than South Star's last time. We have a couple of likely front runners here in New Forest and possibly Bright Day with the 10-pound claimer Brittany Wong aboard, and South Star, Another World and Juno Pride likely to be the ones positioning up, tracking them. Now, the one with an issue on the map looks to be Juno Pride. He might have a tough run under the top weight from out there and might have to go to plan B and ease back so that that wide run doesn't happen. But nice runs for South Star and Another World make them the ones to beat. But the point of separation between these two for me comes with the change in class. Now, we often look for this, and the reason is that because of the rise in grades, South Star, he gets a big weight drop, whereas Another World stays in the same class and he goes up in the weights as a result. And I did think it was worth looking at the stats more closely. Regulars will know that the up in class off a win angle is one I like, but I thought I'd narrow our study of it here to just winners in class 4, where new horses start off in Hong Kong, up to class 3, which is what we're seeing from South Star. And here you see the top 10 trainers in this segment from the current group of trainers since September 2017. Now, I've chosen that time period specifically because that was the start of Frankie Law's career. And as you can see, he's one of the dominant players in this area, maintaining a high strike rate and a clear advantage over market expectations, despite having a high number of runners. So the tip from me in race 10, South Star. His winning factor, the winner up in class. Now, certainly there is a big discrepancy, about 6 lengths difference in the final finishing sections for Another World and South Star. But I think that's more than covered by the fact that there is a big weight swing towards South Star, and also the record of his trainer, Frankie Law, in this particular scenario. Well, that's it from the winning factor this week. Good luck on Sunday. See you next time.